Moniek Stevens from SDSU right here in this building. She'll talk to you about educational opportunities that you have even as a working professional. We have Jennifer Frank of Lynn Jackson Schultz and LeBrun. She's an attorney specializing in worker and employment issues, and she'll tell you more about that. We have Michelle Kane of the SD CEO. They offer a lot of programs for professional development. You'll hear about those. We have Ericka Heiser of Day of Excellence, which is coming up in less than a month. We're really excited about it. And last but not least, we have Mitch Nachtigall of Performance Excellence Network. So what I'd like for each panelist to do, you're welcome to take a seat, unless you'd rather stand. I know Mitch wants to stand. He's got a back thing going on. We understand, Mitch. So the first thing that we'd like to have each of you do is to tell us about your program. If you have a main hustle, and this is your side hustle, feel free to tell us about that as well. The microphone is there on the end, so just go ahead and turn it on and take turns telling us about yourselves, and then pass the mic.
Hi, again, I am Mitch, and yes, thank you for pointing that out, because I always have to awkwardly say that, because yeah, I'm having back surgery in a couple weeks, and so sitting is tough for me, so I was glad you guys finally sat down, so I felt like I was holding everybody up. Full-time, I work for Ascent Innovation, which is the technology startup incubator here in town on the edge of the School Mines campus. Today I'm representing the Performance Excellence Network of the Black Hills. We are a chapter out of the Minnesota Council for Quality, or the overall Performance Excellence Network, that provides tools related to the Baldrige Excellence Framework, something under the Department of Commerce, basically about performance excellence and organizational development. So we do monthly forums, individualized training for businesses and companies, and really just a whole gamut of things to offer as just a network to get everybody better. So thanks for having me.
Good morning, my name is Ericka Heiser. I wear a few different hats. I'm the Director of Business Valuation Services for Cato Forstenson here in Rapid City. I am the mother of 3 crazy boys, and sort of my 4th child is Day of Excellence, something I'm super passionate about. Day of Excellence was created by the Leadership Rapid City class of 2009. It's an all-day personal and professional development training where we bring in 4 speakers from nationwide to talk about different aspects of life to help you grow in terms of attitude, goal setting, finding humor, attitude, those sorts of things. We're planning our 10th annual event, which will be held on May 1st at the Civic Center. Few things that we're doing a little bit differently this year that I wanted you to sort of be aware of. First of all, again, it is our 10th annual. We are anticipating a sellout. I will say that there are less than 50 seats in front of row C in the balcony. So if you're wanting a ticket, you might want to log on and get those purchased in the next couple of days so that you have an opportunity for a more front row seat. So for those of you who have been there in the past, am I out of time? No, you're good. Okay, sorry. For those of you who have been there in the past, you might remember that in 2017 we had about 1,450 attendees, and that seemed to feel pretty good. Last year we had just a smidgen over 1,600 attendees, and the breaks got a little bit tight. It was difficult into a 20-minute break to find your way to the restroom, refill your coffee cup, grab a snack, and to visit. So we've done a couple of things differently for you this year. We've made the breaks 30 minutes. We've also rented the LaCroix Hall, which is across the hall from the Civic Center offices. And that's where breaks will be: snacks, water, coffee, and our photo booth. There'll also be coffee and water in the main theater as well. And then after the event, from 4 till 6, we're having a celebration to say thank you for 10 great years, Rapid City and surrounding areas. So make sure you mark your calendar for that. And that's free for anyone. So May 1.
And it's a really awesome event. It's great. My name is Michelle Kane, and I'm with the South Dakota CEO, and that stands for South Dakota Center for Enterprise Opportunity, which is a terrible name and very hard to market. But really what we do is we help people launch new businesses and grow their business. We do that through workshops. We've got a social media marketing boot camp coming up this summer here in this very room. And we also do one-on-one free business counseling. So as a resource partner for the Small Business Administration, you can make an appointment with me. We can talk about your business. Crazy ideas, totally welcome. I ran my own marketing and PR firm for 7 years. So I have the experience. I've been there, done that. Don't ever do this. Don't ever, ever, ever do this. So learned a lot of things along the way. We are also the one women's business center in South Dakota. There are 120, again, under the auspice of the Small Business Administration, and we're located on campus at BH in Spearfish, but we cover the state. So we're really focused on rural women. We don't do a lot in Sioux Falls, but we have a presence in Aberdeen and, of course, here in Western South Dakota. We have 3 signature women's business conferences. First one in May up in Spearfish, about 400 women. Up in Deadwood in October, about 350. And then we just did our second Aberdeen conference this last Friday. So we had about 175 women there. We also have a monthly women's networking group that gets together up in Spearfish. We have a fantastic Women in Leadership program now in our 6th year. I've got some cards down here if you're interested. That's going to start up in May. Leah is one of our fabulous presenters. We have 4 days of really, really great leadership development. And again, that is in our 6th year, and that is sponsored by Core Wharf. And I think too, one thing that I've learned is when you run a business, you become a problem solver. And being a problem solver helps me to be a better business counselor. So, one of the things that we do offer is that one-on-one free business counseling, and do, offer that to anyone within South Dakota. So, thanks.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer Frank, and I'm here actually on behalf of the Black Hills Society for Human Resources Management. I've been involved with that group for 4 years now, and I sit on the board of directors. For the past 3 years, I've been the certification director, where I teach class. I taught a class every fall to human resources professionals throughout Western South Dakota, for them to earn their credential of being a credentialed human resources professional that is credentialed through the National Society for Human Resource Management. And we've had great success and pass rate with those exams. I just personally took my certification exam for Senior Certified Human Resource Professional, and I passed in January, so very happy that was over with, because it was a very hard exam. But the class does really prepare you, and we learn a lot. We learn a lot from each other, and we learn a lot from the materials. So anyone who's interested in that, spread the word. We teach one class in the fall. This year, I'm the president-elect of Black Hills SHRM, and I will be the president of our organization next year in 2020. We've got a lot of great things planned, and we meet once a month for anyone in human resources who's interested. Please see me afterwards if you'd like to join. But my primary profession is as an attorney. I work at Lynn Jackson, Schultz & LeBrun. I've been an attorney for 22 years, and before that I was in human resources for a number of years after college. So I have been in business for a long time. I consider myself a problem solver, as kind of like Michelle mentioned, being able to advise businesses, startups. It doesn't matter how many employees you have. If you have 1 employee or you have 1,000 employees, you need to know what you're doing with regard to the multitude of employment laws that are out there. And I focus a lot on compliance. There are a lot of very technical laws and rules that, I'm familiar with because I've been involved with them for so many years. My primary passion is to help organizations learn and do things right so they stay out of problems and avoid litigation. So that's really where my passion is. I don't really enjoy litigating cases because that's very stressful, and that means there's a problem, although we do, solve it and do the best we can. I would rather be on the forefront and kind of that preventative maintenance. So primarily an employment attorney. I do represent also some healthcare companies, and I do represent some individuals too with charges of discrimination and things like that. So yeah, very wide variety, but I love human resources, I love employment law, and that's my passion. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Moniek Stevens with South Dakota State University. I am based here in the Black Hills State Rapid City campus. I advise about 50 undergraduate students who are non-nursing majors, in taking Black Hills State classes here at the University Center in order to move on to Brookings or to get into the nursing program, kind of a variety of different opportunities for students to pursue their educational goals. I'm also the coordinator of our West River Counseling Program, which is a graduate program that's entirely housed here in the University Center. So we offer free counseling, and we have about 40 graduate students that are pursuing their counseling degrees. We also have dual credit through our online program. So I work for the Continuing and Distance Education Department of SDSU, and dual credit is an opportunity for students to take high school classes during their juniors and senior years for about $150 as compared to $1,000 and get the same high school credit as well as the college credit. It also helps students to prepare to go to college because parents can help support them in those first classes and get them off to a good start. That's the parts of my job that I love. My other passion is my quilting, and I teach sewing and quilting classes at the Sewing Center, Fabric City, a couple nights a month, and I do custom quilting and bag making. I've made probably close to 500 quilts in the last 20 years and about 1,000 bags, because that's really something that I'm very passionate about.
All right, amazing, amazing, right? And so thank you for the introductions. So not only are we talking about professional development, Michelle or Jennifer, they use the word prevention. I'm a member of SHRM as well, Society for Human Resource Management, and going to those meetings is exactly that. You're learning what it means to have employees, to be aware of laws, be aware of regulations that affect you. You have to know those things as an employer. And so as an entrepreneur, if you're thinking of having employees, you might want to consider doing something like SHRM. The other things, you think about self-care, you think about lifelong learning. There's a reason to get involved with professional development. And so at this time, what I'd like to do is open up the room to questions. We've got 2 mics. We have Gordon on your left. We have Randy on your right. And what questions do you have for these individuals about the programs that they are part of? Maybe anything that is relevant to being an entrepreneur and growing professionally as an entrepreneur. So who has the first question? Deanna.
I could have taken that on that. I would have bet it was you.
I didn't have the mic, I had to. Deanna Becket, character coach. Each of you represent fractions of our whole area of Black Hills. Are there any particular people or subgroups or demographics that you are looking for that we can send your way? I know this is probably not the type of that kind of discussion, but I'm just hearing, okay, how can I send people in particular ways? I mean, I'm thinking Jennifer, because I just learned about what you do, but everybody, who are you looking for?
I guess I'll start. Most of my focus is on non-traditional students. So I have a lot of students coming back to school who have maybe started their degrees and didn't finish. I teach the Bachelor of General Studies capstone course. So if you have more than 60 credits of prior college education, you can turn that into an associate's degree and then go on for a bachelor's degree, sometimes with only a course or 2 through South Dakota State University's online learning platform. You can take classes here at Black Hills State, Rapid City, and with SDSU. So it provides a lot of students the opportunity to finish a degree.
Thanks, Moniek. This is Jennifer Frank, and for I guess speaking on behalf of Lynn Jackson, because that's where I get business and that's where I have my profession. What I'm looking for is primarily employers to represent. That's my main practice area, is employment law. And I love employment law, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I was in human resources before I became a lawyer. Again, my desire is to help organizations of any kind, of any industry, and of any size know how to do things right. Again, if you have one employee, or you have 25,000 employees, where I worked for an organization before moving here to South Dakota that had 25,000 employees, and I was the sole employment lawyer for that organization, working with all human resource professionals and managers and presidents of hospitals, et cetera, the CEO of the organization. I want to help you do things right. I want to help educate you. I want to show you what you can do to make a bad situation better, how to be in compliance with documents to put in place, forms, handbooks, policies, and how to do things right, how to treat employees, how to create a culture of excellence, how to avoid harassment and discrimination, how to do regular training, and things like even communication. So I like to help organizations do that, and I'm looking for any organizations. I do represent some individuals. It helps me be a better lawyer all around, because then I can see things from both sides of the coin. But I prefer to work with organizations.
Thanks, that's a good question. So you wanted to contact Michelle at SDCEO if your friend's saying, oh my God, I hate my job, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna start this business. Well, tell them to come and see me first before they do that, so I can help them with the business plan, financial projections, make sure to vet it out. Anyone who's just got an idea, just wants to, just sitting on the couch going, what if we did this, this, and this? That's where I love to come when people come in, so we can see if it's actually a real business. Or if you're an existing business owner and you're ready to grow your business, maybe you need to get a loan, you want to consolidate something, we don't do loans, but we have partners with the Small Business Administration that does. So anyone that's either in business that wants to take their business, maybe they need to scale, maybe they need some marketing strategies to rethink things, to look at things. I can help them with that. So looking for a new business, don't quit your job first. Go see Michelle. I'll help you figure out when you should quit your job. Usually I never say, people say, I'm just ready to do it like right now and I've got this great plan. But it's like we need to make sure that, how's that transition? And I've helped people through that. So that would be the part.
I'm going to answer that question, Deanna, wearing two different hats. The first hat that I'll wear, so to speak, is as president of Day of Excellence. In terms of Day of Excellence, who should attend? Really, everyone. For the last 3 years, I've been having my high school son excused for the day so that he can attend. I think he started when he was in 8th grade, and he'll attend this year. But my mother, who's in her mid-70s, and now my dad this year, who's almost 75, will both be attending. So I really think that it's for everyone who has a passion for getting better. I really feel like if you're not growing, you're dying. So we've got to keep growing, we've got to keep learning, and we really have to be looking more towards the positivity of life and finding laughter and blessings in every day. So really, for Day of Excellence, everyone. Probably, I would say 8th grade maybe is probably the youngest. 7th grade maybe, depends on maturity wise, and they don't have tests that day. In terms of the hat that I wear as Director of Evaluation Services for Cadel Forstensen, who do I serve and who am I looking for in that regard? I do a lot of appraisals for estate, gift, and marital dissolution, which is divorce. However, I do a lot of startup. Probably starting with Michelle would probably be probably a better idea, although we're able to help with those services as well, but probably from an all-encompassing perspective, certainly what Michelle does at SDCEO is probably more all-encompassing. In terms of, if you're looking to buy a business and need SBA financing, I work with a lot of lenders to provide the valuation of that business. If you've ever looked at an SBA lending form, it's, my really, really technical term to describe that form is stupid. I mean, it's stupid. Yeah. They want the valuation analyst, someone in my profession, to look at every approach and every methodology within every approach, and it's stupid. So we've got a really smart approach on how to be able to check all the boxes for the SBA requirements and still keep the cost low, just sort of from a cost perspective, as long as all the ducks are in a row and the financials are in order and less than $3,000 for evaluation. But there you go, 2 hats.
Well, I'm going to answer probably very similar to Jennifer. She said, any organization of any size that's looking to get better. That's, I would say, the same for the Performance Excellence Network. So we base ours on the Baldrige framework from the Department of Commerce. And really what this is it's not consulting, but it's asking questions back on yourself. It's divided up into 7 categories, about 175 questions if you really dig into it. But at the broad level, it's really just making you take a look at yourself and how your processes work. For example, I really think that it's very important for startups and entrepreneurs and small businesses because it makes you ask yourself, what are my product offerings? Who am I offering them to? Who are my customers? And a lot of times I think that, especially in bigger organizations, we tend to get away from that pretty quickly, and we don't realize that not everybody in our organization thinks that our customers are the same people. And so, and that's just the example I always use, I guess, as customers, because I go back, I said this, I presented here a few weeks ago, when we did it in my organization, I used to be a member of the full-time guard, and a couple colonels almost got into a fist fight over who our customers were. And I thought that was really powerful because, how is it that 2 people that work together every day go to too many government meetings, but somehow can't have the same idea of who their customers are? And so I think that's probably where I'll leave that answer.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the question and answers. What they're saying here reminds me of that concept of working on your business, not just in your business. So just as an example, my husband and I also own a first aid company. We're working on an exit strategy right now. We have no intention of selling the business within the next year, 2 years even, but we want to have that on the horizon and think about, hey, in 10 years when we maybe have grandkids, I'm not going to be tied to this business. So continually working on your business, not just in it, is really, really important. What other questions do we have for the panelists? Ashley.
So this message comes from Facebook. Carrie is wondering, do you find that a lot of businesses, that there are a lot of business owners that don't want to share too much and keep it all close to their chest? And then how do you get past that?
I'm just going to start. With my new job at Ascend Innovation, I'll start there. We've started to talk a lot about the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and a lot of people will talk that Western South Dakota, culturally or whatever it is, we tend to be close hold, and we somehow have this feeling that maybe because we've kind of got that small town attitude that a competitor or someone like us is going to be bad for our business, and most economy-minded people will say that's the opposite of the truth. Growth is important, competition is important. A rising tide raises all boats, all that. And so I think that to more specifically answer that question, I think that sharing is very important in that you don't know where your flaws are unless you're kind of out there, and you can't understand your own processes unless you write them down, unless you share them with people. And so I think it's very important for organizations like this, all professional development opportunities. You need to stand up and explain what your business is, because someone's going to come up to you after that meeting and go, hey, I'd like to help you with this. And so if you're trying to be very internal in your business aspect, but still be very public to your customers, you're missing the boat there, because you can't market yourself to a customer, but then keep all of your inner workings completely secret. I don't think it worked.
I always find it interesting when I have clients who drop off information for me or will label emails personal and confidential. Everything I do is personal and confidential. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, 12 years as a business appraiser and 10 years as a banker. Everything I do is personal and confidential. I always find that a little bit interesting. But I think it's very important to trust the advisors that you work with. Leah just mentioned their succession planning. I tell my clients, you need minimum 5 years to be planning your succession planning. Don't tell me, hey, I want to retire in 6 months. Good luck. It's not going to happen. You need to be planning 5 years out. I've written numerous articles about that very topic. And being very well thought out and doing something like the Baldridge where you sort of have your 6-month, 1-year, 5-year, 20-year plan sort of laid out, realizing that things are fluid and that they change over time. But I do find it professionally somewhat challenging, oftentimes because I'm not the sole advisor for my clients. Oftentimes I'm referred, my clients are referred to me by attorneys, by bankers, by their trust officer, so I'm not their sole advisor. But I need to build that rapport and give them a level of trust that you can trust me, and frankly, if you don't want to tell me, that's okay, but the value that I give you is probably wrong. So it's really your decision how much you would like to share with me, and this really is a safe place, and this is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. So we're going to know what's going on, but as a professional, we keep that close. We don't talk about that. Again, I do divorce work. I have a lot of dirt, but I don't share that. That's confidential. So yeah, it is a challenge, but really just letting our clients know. However much you want to share is really up to you, but if you want your advisors to truly help you, you've got to divulge. And if you don't trust your advisor, pick someone else.
The importance of advisors, critical. 2 things. I have people who are, again, just starting. I'm thinking of buying this business. I'm thinking of doing that. Tell an advisor that you can trust. We're confidential too with the Small Business Administration. However, I have had situations where it's like, I want to buy this building, and then they've told me to flip out what you're sharing, at that point, kind of at the front end. But once you move through, pick your advisors and really, trust them. The other thing is find a space where you can share things. So we have a monthly networking at SECEO specifically for women that it is a safe space to talk about things. And I am always saying collaboration over competition. If we can work together, that is going to win every single time. And that's really what we're focused on. We're really focused on, economic advancement for women and getting women to the seat at the table. And the only way that we can do that is if we work together and support each other. So, it's finding that space, men and women, where you can say, hey, I'm really having this problem, or this issue is really, pressing, or let's do a co-op. Let's, we've got SCOBY Kombucha up in Spearfish. Now they're pouring at breweries, they're pouring at the Green Oven, they're working together. Maybe a little competitive, maybe a little not, but when they're collaborating, then everyone wins. So you gotta find that space where you can really feel comfortable to share those things.
Great, I'll give 2 responses. One is from the SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management, and because I taught the class, I'm familiar with a lot of the competencies and concepts that are obviously taught in those materials and in that course. One of the topics that we cover is, for businesses, is transparency. We have found, or research has found, that customers and other stakeholders of companies and organizations kind of demand transparency. They want to know what's going on with companies, what they're doing for the community, what they're doing maybe for the environment, what's going on with their investments, what's going on with their products, how products are developed, where are they developed, what kind of materials are being used. All these sorts of things go into this concept of transparency, and it's very important. When customers, clients, and the general public feel closed off from knowing what's going on with your organization, they don't trust you. And trust is a big word for developing customers, loyalty, and increased business over time. So you want to be thinking about being transparent for your business, and that goes to the image that you're projecting, the communication that you have with the public through social media, etc., to develop that trust, loyalty, and brand awareness. So that is from kind of a business or the human resources view. Kind of to mirror what Ericka was saying about client relationships. So as a lawyer, I'm a licensed professional, and I, pursuant to our rules of ethics of being an attorney that we are held to, and we have an attorney-client privilege. So if you are a client of mine, there's actually this whole privilege that kind of puts an umbrella over everything that we talk about and all of our communication, whether it's oral or written. That means that I will keep confidential and privilege this information, and it cannot be discovered or revealed by me. So that should put most clients and individuals who seek my services, once that actual attorney-client relationship has been developed, at ease to reveal information. And I do agree with Ericka that if you don't get information, that limits the ability to help you with your problem or with your issues. So the more information you can give, I always tell my clients right up front, tell me everything. Don't try to sort out what you think I want to hear or what you think is relevant. I will make that determination about what I think is relevant in order to solve your problem or to assist you. Just tell me everything and leave nothing untold. So once we get all that information, we're able to do a much better job of advice and counsel and giving you that best solution for your issue.
I think I would just reiterate a few things that the panel has said. You have to trust your advisor. If you don't tell them the truth, they're not going to be able to help you effectively. So I really make sure to get to know my clients, my customer, and make sure that I'm giving them the honest truth and advising them correctly. Because who wants to take college courses 3 times? But if you don't tell me that you've taken them, I don't know that you've taken them. So I really, I make sure that they trust me enough to tell me the truth, and then I advise them correctly from there.
Okay, thank you very much for answering that question. 2 things come to mind as they spoke. One is the abundance theory. There's plenty of work for all of us. So I know today in the room we have 3 doTERRA representatives, 4. There's no reason why you 4 people can't get together, collaborate, and think about, hey, should we put on an event? Should we do something to work together? Many of you know Helen Sarah. She's a competitor of mine, although it's funny to use that word because we meet, we have coffee, we collaborate. We're going after government contracts together because we do similar work. If we were to shut each other out, we didn't have that opportunity. So think about the abundance theory. There's plenty of work for all of us. All right, what other questions do you have? Got 2 here. Arm wrestle.
I kind of just build on something we just discussed. That's all right.
Got the mic there.
So Konstantin Pshersnik with U.S. Bank. You kind of touched on this when you were talking, but in the client service or just helping out individuals, you're discussing transparency and everything like that, which kind of breaks down some of the barriers. Do you guys have any methods or conscious things that you guys do when you do meet with clients that kind of breaks down their guard, whether making them more comfortable in their interaction, making them trust you more? I know trust is built over time, but are there any key methods that you do use to make that interaction be a lot more fluid and natural and organic with that person you just meet for the first time?
We start with what's called appreciative advising, which is a full method of disarming is the first phase, to disarm the student and help them to understand what their challenges might be when facing college. Maybe they had issues in the past, maybe they didn't have parental support. We work with a lot of first-time or first-generation students who don't have that support from home. In this day and age, it's really hard to believe that, but we do have a lot of first-generation students who don't have support to go to college. So we really work to get to know them, asking questions about what they're doing. Did you go to the Breaking Benjamin concert last night? Did you have your daughter at daycare? The military, I work with a lot of the veterans at Ellsworth. What do you do on the flight line? Where is your office at? And things that kind of put them at ease, because when they're talking about their passion, then they will allow themselves to let that guard down a little bit.
Whether I'm working with, and this is for my hat of Lynn Jackson as an attorney, when I'm working with clients, whether they're an individual who maybe has just been terminated from their job and they're looking to see what their options are for dealing with this sudden loss, or I'm working with an employer business where they're trying to build their business or put together a handbook or solve some business and employment issues. I agree that listening to the person is very important. With my profession, I have to hear a little bit before I determine if I want to take this person on as a client. But once I establish that attorney-client relationship, I tell them, and I repeat, this conversation is attorney-client privileged, and I'm not going to tell anybody anything that you tell me. It remains with me, and I do my work based off of what you tell me, and I listen. I let them tell their story. I let them tell as much as they can. I kind of direct them a little bit to some of the key pieces of information that I'm going to need, but I let them tell me a lot about their business, about themselves, or about their issue, and I take a lot of notes. And that way I feel that they know I'm being very complete, I'm listening, I care, and I'm going to help them solve their problem, and we're like a partnership. So that's what I do with my clients.
I think it just comes down to being real. Working for the government, for the Small Business Administration, nobody likes the government anyway, so I always try and just focus on humanizing, real, telling stories, making sure that there's some commonality there. The other thing is being prepared. For example, anytime we meet with anyone, anytime, whether it's a one-on-one potential client or customer, look them up on LinkedIn, find out their thing. I mean, I did that with our panel, and now I've connected with 2 new people on LinkedIn. This is super simple, and it's free, and it's a great, great tool. So understand who you're talking to so you can even get more commonality right away. And a lot of that is just being prepared and doing the work before, but not being that weird stalker that said, oh, I saw you on LinkedIn and you're a quilter and blah, blah, blah. See, Monique's already brought this up, so now I can talk about quilting. So it's like, but I have that knowledge, so I have something, where did they go to school? Where did they work before? What was their story? So it's kind of, being prepared and then just being real. I think too, in banking, it's very formal. It's a very formal experience. I think the more we can put just some levity and humor and real, that's because we want to work with people we know, love, and respect. Not love, like and respect. But those are the kind of things that I always think about and just trying to make people comfortable. And also just to sit with them, not like at my desk. I try and sit with them at a table. So I'm not like, here's my desk, even though it's not that exciting. Again, government. But it's, just making sure that it's a very comfortable situation. So.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I have much more to add than what was already discussed. I'll just
also for you guys covered it.
So Ashley, did you have a question, or a gentleman behind you has a question?
Okay, so this is another question from Facebook. How do you deal with small business monetary restrictions, lack of money? What are ways you work through that, through them on that? And I guess this is in the context of to pay for your services. They want to hire you or want to work with you, but maybe they can't afford you.
I think I'm the only one that's free. So Monique too. So, that's a way to start. So sometimes we just don't realize that there are a ton of free resources for entrepreneurs and business owners out there. So you can always start. Now, I can't solve every single thing, but I can sure, give some recommendations as a starting point. Also, our programs are very low price. That's really our goal, is to, because we are a nonprofit and partially grant funded, we do try and keep our prices low. But one thing to keep in mind is you get what you pay for. So excellent service, excellent advisors cost money. And when I am doing business counseling and it's like, I have no money to start my business, you're not ready to start a business because you have to build your advisory board. You have to have an accountant. You have to have a lawyer. You have to have these people to do this. So there isn't like magic money that just falls out of the sky. So it's like if you are struggling with, finances, we can definitely help you get a loan, but you're going to have to put some skin in the game. And a banker is not going to want to give you a loan unless you've got some skin in the game. So it's just, there's the first thing I get every question, what grants are available? There are no grants unless you are going to solve cure cancer or do something that's very unique. The government is not going to give you money for a for-profit business. So that is just one of those myths to dispel.
Couple of thoughts. First, in terms of the consulting and appraisal work that I do, finding out what do you need this for and who's going to look at it. If I'm doing a valuation for a taxable estate, it's going to cost you. But if you have a taxable estate, that means you have more than $22 million. So cry me a river. So it is going to cost. There will be a cost associated with it. However, I do work with a lot of divorces where it's low dollars, and sometimes they're hoping just to settle, and so I'll just do some quick calculations that still provides good benefit for them, and just for some good discussion purposes, and really talking them through maybe this isn't what you need, or have you considered doing this, or really my price goes up based on the type of report that I write. And also, how much work are you willing to do? I mean, if you can get your finances in order and you can contact your accountant and you can make sure that your QuickBooks are in good shape and you give them to me, it's going to take me a lot less time. You're free, I'm not. So sort of thinking about that and just having a good conversation. And no surprises. No one wants to get a bill that they're completely shocked at how much it is. That is a horrible feeling as a consultant to do. And so maybe sometimes stopping along the way and saying, look, I quoted you X number of dollars, but this is really, the scope has really broadened. And every time you call me, you want to chat for an hour, I'm having to charge you. And so, just having those conversations with your clients so that they understand why that meter is going up. That's just a horrible feeling as a consultant to have someone disappointed and frustrated with their bill. So just being honest and open. I'm going to just put on Day of Excellence hat for just a minute. Our speaker budget for this year is well over $30,000. However, our ticket prices are $60. We work with our sponsors to have sponsorship dollars so that we can keep the ticket price low. When we have speakers who come here from Austin and New York and DC and Colorado, they're shocked at the low price that we charge. And it's because of our sponsors that we're able to do that. So we are so appreciative to our sponsors. And I do invite you to visit our webpage at dayofexcellence.com and click on our sponsors and see who they are. Talk good about them, use their services. They love you, just like Day of Excellence loves you and wants our community to become one of excellence. So just in terms of pricing, they're $60, and if you do need continuing education hours, some associations will offer or will grant continuing education hours for attending Day of Excellence. We do have an attestation form in our program, and it's good for 6 continuing education hours if your organization will grant it. Okay, there's a caveat. It's not a guarantee. You have to contact your own association. So.
I'll answer the question with 2 hats again. First, with regard to some free resources that are available. With regard to our Black Hills SHRM organization, we have monthly meetings on a variety of topics that apply to employers who have employees. You can have 1 employee, you can have 5,000 employees, and these topics are going to apply to you. Just a couple weeks ago for our monthly meeting, I was the speaker, and I spoke about business ethics. It was kind of geared towards the HR professional. However, it could be geared towards anyone who is in management for the company, and why business ethics and developing a code of conduct is very important. And there was a PowerPoint, and people could have the PowerPoint to read and consider. So I do echo Michelle and Ericka's comments about trying to educate yourself with a lot of free resources and seeing what you can do for yourself. But if you do need to engage a professional such as myself and like Ericka said, we do bill a fee for our services. Some of the creative ways that I can bill are billing for the project rather than by the hour.
Sheriff Phillips, I'm with AJ Phillips Real Estate Solutions. And my question was, what is one of the most common mistakes or mishaps that you find with new startups or even established businesses for that matter?
I think this kind of goes back to the last question in some ways, actually. So I have to reiterate that the work can't be understated. You know, I think most entrepreneurs or rock bands or singers or whatever would be insulted if they heard the word overnight sensation, because you know, they were not overnight. You know, whether you just heard about them or not. You know, I think that's a common misconception, is the amount of work and time that a startup is going to have to go in. You know, in the incubator, I'm just so impressed. I'd love for all of you to come tour. That's a separate plug for a different time, but there's some amazing things happening in our town, and these people are working as hard as anybody, I promise you. You know, these startups, you know, this idea on a napkin that came overnight, you know, that was 5-10 years ago. You know, and they went, you know, 5% growth, negative 30% growth, 5% growth, and then finally 5 years later it was 400% growth. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that we all maybe underestimate what that's going to take, and the product development and the retesting, whether it's a service or a product or anything, is, you know, you develop it, and then you got to send a focus group out, and then you got to come back, and you know, and then maybe your product is entirely different than what it was before. But I think that's just something that people don't realize, and that's something I didn't even realize as much as I do now.
I think just in terms of doing financial projections, and I do a lot of those, one thing to sort of keep in mind is that no matter how much time and energy is put into them, they're almost always wrong the moment they're printed.
Oh yeah. Once you print anything, you might as well just start over.
However, doing the work to get those projections, working with your advisor or doing them on your own, and doing the work allows you to really get a really broad brush or broad scope of what could go right, and maybe doing a couple of different scenarios, or like worst case, base case, and best case. But I also think that doing projections for the first 2 years on a monthly basis instead of an annual basis makes a lot of sense. We've got some businesses that are cyclical in nature, and so, you know, your first year you might turn a profit, but how many months in a row were you negative? Did you not have any cash flow and you need to pay your employees, or you need to feed yourself, frankly? And so looking at those on a monthly basis and going, oh shoot, you know, we are opening a snowmobile shop or whatever, and how are we going to do this in July? Yeah, cash flows might be kind of low in July. You never know with our weather, it might still be snowing in June. I'm sorry to say that out loud. But looking at those on a monthly basis and understanding where you might have some really lean, tight months, and how are you going to do those so that you don't have to fold by the time the first snow comes back around in September or October, using that silly example.
I would say too, reviewing your financials way more frequently. Like if you put together a business plan, it's like so many times I've worked with someone on a business plan, marketing strategies, they've got all their ducks in a row, they've opened their business, and that file, that piece of paper is just sitting over here and they don't look at it anymore. We suggest at least every quarter. So it's like, just keep, are you on track? Are you even, like, because it was probably wrong because you've made some, you know, big wild guesses. The other thing is just starting a business. People, you know, we see so much on Facebook, you know, take my class and now I'm sitting on a beach, writing my blog, getting paid millions. That does not exist. And you're seeing that everywhere. It's just, you're not going to have all this free time. Your time is going to be in your business if you're going to be successful. So that is something, you know, it's like, I just want to have all this flexibility. Well, then you might not want to run a business. You might want to actually work for someone else. That's the reality. The other thing is when people come to me just for issues, they think they need to do it all themselves. I've been working on my business, these are all my ideas, and it's like maybe I'm a solopreneur, and it's like I'm just here in my little bubble, but they don't realize that they have to ask for help. And it's out there, but it's like, you know, so many times, and I was the same way. I mean, I got in the same situation. I was in my basement. I was in my bubble going, I'm just going to crank this out. I'm going to keep going, and I'm not going to ask for help because I think as a business owner, I have to know the answer. but it's okay not to know the answer, and there's a lot of resources out there that can help you. So those are a couple of things that I'm seeing just starting and even kicking off a business or people in business.
Can I add 2 more things real quick? Sorry, 2 more things. One, in terms of financials, Michelle just looked at those, or just mentioned that I suggest looking at it on a common size basis, your income statement, and I can certainly talk about that with you afterwards, but it really is a way for you to analyze where your costs are and where your expenses are and look at that trending. If something is goofy with your cost, you might have someone stealing from you. You might have a package of steaks that are going out or a bottle of booze that are going out in employees' trunks and never hitting the shelf. I mean, I'm serious, that happens all the time and businesses go under because of it. So I'd be happy to talk with you. It's a super quick 30-second Excel spreadsheet thing that you can take a look at. The other thing, just from a Day of Excellence's perspective, is that when you're starting your business, and Day of Excellence isn't necessarily a business, we're a nonprofit, but putting the right person in the right job. We've got Ashley Auwerter who works with us, and she's phenomenal at social media. I don't do social media. That's not my deal. And we've got other people who are in the right job. So really understanding your employees' talents and pairing those with that task. Thank you.
And I'm going to add one more thing, because I just thought of something. With a business plan, when you're just kicking things off, you need a business plan, and the SBA has tons of free resources. And we have a great template that we follow that really kind of sets you up if you want to go for financing or lending down the road. But you need a business plan. There is a template that can take you like 2 hours on the SBA site. It just helps you to structure your thoughts and ideas, and it's a great baseline for you. You just don't want to just get out there and start doing stuff. You want to have a plan.
Okay, Jennifer, you have the last word, and we'll let you wrap it up in the next minute.
2 things. One, from the perspective of networking, and like Leah is in the Black Hills SHRM as I am, you've got to attend sessions to learn, and I think a mistake is kind of like burning yourself thinking you're in your own bubble when you need to network with others to learn, to grow, and to get better and learn more about your business and who your potential customers or clients are going to be. From the perspective of a lawyer, people come to a lawyer when they are a lot of times in a crisis and they have a problem that has reached this level. However, a lot of people don't realize that they can talk to a lawyer at the very beginning. And in fact, it's preferable from my perspective. I'd much rather help you from the ground up and teach you how to do it right and to help you avoid problems with employees suing you or something gone wrong with your business or other types of business issues. You actually spend less money in the long run if you get in with your advisors and do things the right way at the very beginning. So the mistake I see is people not coming to me soon enough to discuss even smaller problems before they get big, because I can do more to help you before it escalates into, oh my gosh, this employee's suing us, now what do we do?
Okay, let's give it up for our panel.